Alrighty, JDs and Lettleman, it looks like another week, another UFC event. Let's get into a breakdown here of UFC 317. I'm going to go through my predictions, breakdown, thoughts, and opinions on every single fight on this fight card here at UFC 317. If you're curious who I am, I'm making my way through the trenches of MMA, YouTube, and YouTube in general as I do a variety of content. So if you feel like sticking around, feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Shameless plug over. Now, UFC 317, Ilia Topuria takes on Charles Du Bronx Oliveira for the undisputed lightweight belt. And this is because Islam Makhachev has his tail tucked between his legs, running from Ilia Topuria. He's terrified of the new El Leyenda. I think that's how you pronounce that. In Ilya's new nickname. Alright, he's terrified. He doesn't want the smoke. So, we get to watch Du Bronx in the win column go against Ilia Topuria. So, let's get into the breakdown. This is the first time I'm going through the whole card. Things might change. If they do, I'll probably put the updated picks, if I care, in the description. So tune in for that, I guess. Now, with that being said, let's finally get into it. Minute 20 into the breakdown. It's not too bad. Anyways, Cedric Dumas versus Jackson McVeigh. Who the fuck? Correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Cedric Dumas in prison right now? Or did he get arrested for something? I swear he was drunk driving or some shit, wasn't it? It was like reckless. No, it was like armed burglary, wasn't it? What the fuck is he doing here? Is this real? Or is this a clone? Is BJ Penn on to something? Now, okay. This is an interesting one. Debut? Yeah, debut. LFA? Never heard of it. I have heard of it. I don't watch debut. If you're new around the channel, I don't watch these fucking debut, shitty, dumb, stupid fucking fights. Cedric Dumas, I do think, is a little bit better than his record shows. Holy shit, number 244? Oh my, is it the middleweight roster? Holy shit, we need to start cutting them. Oh my god, man. Cedric the Reaper Dumas. Yeah, he beat Dennis Tululin. I mean, it's not really a good win, I'll be honest. 11-9 record. You know, he's beat a lot of bumps. Like, he did beat Cody Brundage, guys, you know? Cody the fucking all game for Brundage, you know? But that was before prime game Brundage was out there, you know? I think this was before the Bo Nickel took his soul, you know? Or I guess Bo Nickel reinvigorated his soul, and Cody Brundage is actually trying to win fights now. Isn't quitting to getting elbowed against the cage. But he did get KO'd against Nursultan Ruziboev. He was kind of having success. This Mikhail Olenjacek one, this one is a tough one for me to pick Cedric. I'm a Cedric Glazer. I do think the young kid, he's got potential. Okay, I don't know what he's doing, fucking robbing people's houses. Maybe I'm thinking of, like, is this actually the same guy? That's actually... Damn, man. No wonder why he's taking a fight. He probably needs to pay some bills, if you know what I mean. But yeah, McCall... Okay. He didn't have any success in this fight, because this was a round 1 KO, I believe. The thing that really worries me with this one, he got KO'd by the bicep. McCall didn't land a hook. Landed a bicep and it knocked out Cedric, like flatline. Now it could have been like he couldn't see the strike coming. He wasn't expecting the bicep of Mikhail Olenjacek to be that powerful, but I'm right. Yeah, his chin is on fraud watch right now. Let me tell you, you know. If we blow in the wrong direction, will he get knocked out? Is he Cody Garbrandt level of chinny, even though Cody Garbrandt looked pretty okay chin health-wise in his last performance? You know? Are we looking at a worse chin than Paul Craig? We might be, you know? So, I think... I don't know anything about this debut guy, though. What do we got? KO, sub, KO, KO. Oh my god, is that 100% finish rate I see? Oh my god. Bro, 6'4"? Okay. Okay, he is young. Okay. Louis, I don't know where this is. Is this, well, I think this is, does it actually say? I don't see the name here. Yeah, I don't see the name here. John Jones retired. I should probably do a video on that. Yeah, Cedric Dumas. Oh, I just accidentally saw the picks. I was going to say I'm probably going to go with McVeigh. Obviously, this is going to skew it just a little bit. That's why I don't like scrolling down too far. I just can't trust Cedric's skin. Skin? Whoa! Whoa! Hold on. Chin. I can't trust Sadiq's chin. Whoa! Whoa! Oh, that's gonna get clipped one day. Holy shit. Yeah, I just can't trust his chin. Fuck. We're not editing that out because I'm lazy, okay? We're gonna go with McVeigh by KO. I'm gonna... Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go... Do I do KO? This is the thing. This is the tough part about being a picker, alright? I think I'm gonna go... Decision. I'm smelling a decision. Yeah, but it is a prelim opener, and these ones typically end in a finish these days. Fuck, man. This is the tough part, man. I'm gonna go McVeigh KO. I'm not that confident at all in it. Or not at all. I'm, you know, I see it. I see it in the near future. I'm gonna say round 1. I was gonna give Cedric like the benefit of the doubt and say round 2 because I think his ground. He's a little bit like, what's that guy's name? Edmund Shabazian. He's kind of like a newer Edmund Shabazian, where he's young, he's sort of learning as he's fighting. I just don't know if I can really trust his chin after that last performance and all the allegations going on outside of the cage. I'm not trusting Cedric Dumas. This is probably the first time I'm picking against him. Yeah. Don't trust it. Moving on. Jonata Deniz versus Alvin Hines. I want to say this is short notice, and this was supposed to be Jonata Deniz versus somebody else. Is this a debut? This is a debut. Fuck's sake. Jonata Deniz is coming off a loss to, before I see. Who was it? Who fraud checked him? It was someone like beatable, wasn't it? Who the fuck was it? It was someone who laid on him. Was it that old guy? Oh my god. Not Marcin Prachnio. What the? Marcin Tybura. Yeah! Ba-boom! Yeah, that's right. Just beat the casual allegations. Yeah, he's coming off that fraud check to Marcin Tybura. We saw he didn't have any really takedown defense there. He wasn't really that urgent either. He's just like a fat heavyweight at the end of the day. His opponent looks like a Bogdan Guskov on crack. Or Bogdan Grad from last night's main event, or I guess today's main event, because I'm recording this right after the Khalil Roundtree, Jamal Hill fight. Debut, what do we got? KO, submish. Arm triangle, that's probably Ignite. Like, what the fuck are... I'm just gonna go with Jonata Deniz because he's in the UFC, and I'm gonna go by decision. Blobfest. Jonata Deniz wins in the last round. You know? This guy shows up at the heavyweight limit, 260. I think that's like last weigh-ins, if Tapology's correct. He's shorter, less reach. Yeah, what are people picking? Yeah, people are picking Deniz. By KO is kind of wild. I get, like, you know, Deniz and the shit. He's not the worst heavyweight. Like, Jonata Deniz, I think, beats, like, Nick Parkin. But, like, I don't think he can beat, like, I was going to say Spivak, but Spivak just showed he has no brain cells, so I don't know. Yeah, heavyweights are shit. Moving on, Nico Price versus... Yeah, I just think Jonata Deniz is, like, I don't know anything about this debut guy. The fact that I don't know anything about him probably tells me that he's just another fat blob heavyweight, and I'm tired of picking heavyweight debuts. There's got to be a stat out there. I think heavyweight debuts, other than maybe, like, Taliesin Texera, all of them are, like, have lost. All of them. You know? Rizvian, Kuniev, Robelis didn't lose his debut, but he lost recently against anyone. Waldo Cortez. Waldo, yeah, I think it's Waldo Acosta, something like that. And then who was the other one you got shit on? Who was supposed to be a big name? There's another like fat fuck who's supposed to be a big name. Who's shit, and he showed up and he looked like shit. I'm not picking like these debut heavyweight fights. I'm just not. So yeah, moving on. We have Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith. I recognize the name. It's not a debut. Knocked out Preston Parsons 5 months ago. Interesting. And Nico Price, he's okay. Kemba Grimbo, right. That was a shit fight, if I remember correctly. That was like a really, really shit fight. Beat Alex Ramono. He's the guy who Robbie Lawler. That's why I'm like, Nico Price, I know that name. He's the guy who got 1-2'd by Robbie Lawler. Oof. It's a rough one. I have this, like, Gabe Green feeling in me that Nico Price is gonna, like, tune this kid up. Because how young is this guy? 29? 35? People forget, man. Nico Price is a veteran. It's a tough one. Jacoby Smith. Let me remember this. I can't remember a single Preston Parsons fight to save my life. Holy shit. Well, does he have like a height? He has a reach disadvantage? Like, Nico Price at least had like a good showing against Alex Morono. You know? Alex Oliveira fucking sucks. He lost against Philip Rowe. It's not a bad loss in hindsight. Fuck, man. Oh, this is tough, man, because prospects of getting fraud checked recently. I don't know that much other than this Preston Parsons left hook KO. I'm going to go with Jacoby Smith. I'm going to go with KO. I'm not trusting Nico Price's chin. Timba, he's an old man, and he looked like shit in that fight, and he still somehow beat Nico Price. Alex Morono does really fucking suck. He is just like a lightweight that made it to welterweight somehow, who's got Donald Cerrone genes in his blood, and that's about it. And then Robbie Lawler, like a 1-2 down the pipe. You know, Phil Rowe, like, it's not a bad loss, but like, that era of Phil Rowe was shit. This era of Phil Rowe is looking way more dangerous. So, I don't know, man. This one's a rough one. I'm going to pick Jacoby Smith. I'm not, like, too sold on it. You know what? I'm going to wager. Oh, I just saw that. Wow. Holy shit. God damn. Yeah, I'm going to wager Nico Price probably gets finished, like, late round 2, early round 3. But I'm going to lock it in as a round 2. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I just can't trust, bro. I haven't gone through this whole card, but it's looking like there's a lot of guys. And as I'm looking at the card going up here, there's a lot of guys you can't fucking trust. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jacoby Smith. I'm not trusting Nico Price coming off a loss. Fuck that. Hell no. Moving on, Hyder Emil versus Jose Delgado. Hyder Emil's coming off that very close loss, I think, to... Oh, never mind. It was a close win, but I thought he lost, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. That's why I'm thinking, he was coming off a loss. Holy shit. He beat William Gomes. I'm trying to remember that fight. I'm pretty sure he lost that fight. But this is an interesting one. KO'd Connor Matthews ground pound, and then, yeah, okay. Hyder Emil's good, though. He's getting older, but he's kind of like a featherweight Michael Chandler, in a way. Like, he's very explosive. He's very good, and he's short, right? Like, he's got a short reach. Yeah, he's, you know, kind of short reach. Yeah, he's not, like, good anywhere, but he's got, like, a pace that's really good. You know, Jose Delgado, he smoked Connor Matthews. I mean, Connor Matthews is proven not to be that good. But... good win nonetheless. I mean, Jose Delgado is also young. Hyder Emil's good, though. Like, you know, Young Lee, that's not a bad win. you know, Fernie Garcia, it's, not a great win, but, you know, I mean, I think I'm just going to go Hyder Emil via a clear 30-27, 29-28, worst case. Maybe one judge has it that way. I just think Hyder Emil's pace is really good, you know? Like, he sets a good pace. He knows kind of how to try to win rounds. Like, if I'm remembering correctly, in that William Gomes fight, he was, I want to say he shot takedowns. Let me fact check this. William Gomes versus Hyder Emil. Is this gonna... It was a split decision. He was the underdog. A lot of people had Gomez winning that one. I'm pretty sure I had Gomez winning that one, I'm not gonna lie. Can I get some stats here? UFC stats, maybe? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, he barely outlanded him. He shot takedowns, if I'm... Yeah, he was shooting takedowns. I think he was shooting them at, like, that 3-minute mark. He kind of has, like, a modern-day fighter mindset where it's like, oh, 3 minutes, we're at the 3-minute mark? All right, shoot takedown, die for legs, you know? So, I'm going to trust Hyder Emil to get it done. Jose Delgado, I guess, could get it done. I mean, we haven't really seen that much. I think that Conor Matthews win was, like, very early. So, I'm not putting too much stock into it. Could he finish Hyder Emil? Maybe. But Hyder Emil, he's flawless. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, a lot of people agree with that. All right, moving on. We have Terrence McChinney versus Vlishav Borshev. Now this is where I'm going to be in the labs, putting the beakers and the test tubes in to really figure out who wins this one, because I know both these gentlemen in terms of most of their fights. You know, I oftentimes find myself watching Terrence McKinney get chinned to increase my dopamine levels. Vlishav Borshev is really good. I know he's coming off that loss to is it Tom Nolan? Oh yeah, bro, I'm getting so bro. MMA, the whole roster's fucking clocked into here, let me tell you. Well, like 99%, you know, Preston Parson fights I don't give a fuck about, but yeah, this Tom Nolan one. Listen, Tom Nolan won that fight. Tom Nolan in that fight is the best. Like, that Tom Nolan is a completely different one than every other one. He was active, he was throwing kicks, he was wicked with it, and Borshev had him in a few, you know, spots of trouble. Borshev was getting close in moments, and I don't think there's an argument Borshev won that fight, but it was close, man. There was moments where Borshev is on top at the end, I think, of round 3. It was a sick fight. And then James Longtop, yeah, he beat the shit out of him. James Longtop is just literally a punching bag. Chase Hooper, this sub, he didn't tap and they just pulled it because he had such a big-ass welt on his forehead. I don't remember this Nazim Sadikov one. But these other ones, and if we're going, like, recency bias here, Borshev looked really, like, good. He just needed to be slightly more active, and he probably wins this decision, you know? A few more jabs every round, he probably wins that decision. Okay, maybe not every round. Maybe like, one of those rounds, if he tried a little bit better to make it clear, he probably wins that fight, and he was tagging Nolan pretty well. He's getting a little older, to be fair, but Terrence McChinney is so chinny, man. Like, the way this guy gets knocked out is genuinely Phil Hawes, like, I know he's not in the UFC anymore, so anyone who's new to the UFC doesn't know that reference. Bro, if you're looking for someone to get flatlined, look up Phil Hawes and Terrence McChinney, alright? McKinney. They have some of the worst KOs I think you can ever receive. It is insane, you know? Every time I see Terrence McKinney get chinned, and I don't even hate Terrence McChinney, you know? I don't even mind this guy. You know, I like how he does a little bit of yapping with, you know, Paddy Pimblett, even though Terrence McKinney couldn't do shit. He would not be able to do shit to Paddy Pimblett at this point in their careers, but it's funny to watch them yap. Terrence McChinney, I gotta stop saying it because it's just too funny. Yeah, he beat Mike Breeden, like, that guy, you know what I mean? The Nazim Sadikov, that was a sick performance. That's where we started, like, you know, hopping on the ride of Nazim Sadikov. I think that was a short notice one, to be fair, but still. The Esteban Ribovics KO was a rough one to watch. And to be honest with you, I think with Terrence, they're trying to give him, like, very easy wins. Bro, this Damir Hadjovic win, for context, this guy was out for over 3 years. It was hometown city. People thought this guy was fucking gone. 40-year-old, all right? Like, nobody even knew this guy was still on the roster. And there was moments where it's like, okay, he's, you know, he landed there on Terrence. Ooh, if Terrence takes another shot, it's not going to go well. I don't remember if it was, like, a really early stoppage, but I do think he like, KO'd him pretty well. Terrence looked like he has pop and everything. Like, I'm not worried if Terrence isn't dangerous in this fight. I can just see Terrence doing something... You know what it is? Terrence always does something stupid and gets caught every time he does something stupid in a fight. You know? Even in his wins, he'll do a spinning back fist outside of range and get tagged right after. And he'll be like, oh, whoa. Whoa, you know, he'll be fucking wobbling everywhere like a bobblehead. And he's so open on the feet, man. I don't know. I'm going to go with Borshev. I'm like, you know, 75-25 here. I like Terrence McKinney. I can, like, this is almost like a tailor-made matchup for Borshev. This is like one of those moments where it's like, Terrence, keep your hands up. And he doesn't keep his hands up. And he just gets fucking smoked. You know? Like, everyone's going to be screaming. Like, I can just so see MMA Guru, Ronin MMA, you know, Bedtime MMA, like, every other fucking, like, YouTuber that does videos on shit like this, be like, Terrence, keep those hands up, keep those hands up. And then he just gets fucking chinned out of nowhere, you know? Borshev's got pop. So I'm going to go with Borshev. I think he'll get it done late round 3. Competitive, back and forth, 1-1. Going into the third, and I think Borshev's going to get a KO in the third. Yeah, I think Borshev is like one of these sneaky, underrated, good guys. You have to have some level of, like, you have to be on your P's and Q's when you're against Borshev. Chase Hooper, prime example. You don't want to fucking grapple with Chase Hooper. That guy's a marauder on the ground. What's the other guy? Tom Nolan? Tom Nolan looked like an involved fighter. Like, that was not the same Tom Nolan from any of his other UFC performances. So, I think you have to be, like, a really high-level fighter to beat Borshev. McKinney has talent. He doesn't have the chin HP, in my personal opinion. Moving on. Jack Hermanson, Gregory Rodriguez. Jack Hermanson, also known as the small penis Pyfer killer. Okay. Fraud checked him via landing one small pinky into the eyeball and Joe Pyfer getting butthurt about it for 4 rounds. I will say, Jack Hermanson, like, okay, yes, Joe Pyfer got fraud checked, but Jack Hermanson was out on his feet a few times there, and that kind of segues into why I'm sort of leaning towards Gregory Rodriguez here. Gregory Rodriguez in those first 2 rounds is an assassin, all right? Both on the ground and on the feet, all right? He'll look for a sub. He's got one of the most credited black belts in terms of, like, his level of grappling. And the dude will die on his sword. He did break in that Jared Cannonier fight, but Jared Cannonier lived. Those 2 rounds Jared Cannonier lived. I'm still shocked to this day. I can't believe a 41-year-old man was able to take those shots. Like, it was insane. You know, Jared Cannonier was in a lot of trouble in that fight. And man, the first round, like, it was brutal. It was brutal. I think Gregory wanted to get him out really fast. Gregory's pretty young too. Isn't he like 32? 33. I want to say 33, but yeah. Big fucking dude. RoboCop, badass nickname. His last loss, other than top 5 contender Jared Cannonier, was Bruno Ferreira, which is also a really strong dude. I think if you beat Gregory, you have to provide, like, Gregory fights in a way where he, think of like a Yuri Prohaska That's orthodox. That's the way Gregory Rodriguez fights. You know? Yuri's like head movement, trying to spin around, do some, you know, crazy Yuri shit. You know? Gregory will stand in front of you, 1-2s down the pipe, and if you're on the receiving end, you're fucked, pretty much. The only way to really, like, fuck up Gregory is to out-danger him. I don't think Jack Hermansson can out-danger him. Jack Hermansson is good. Like, he is all-around good, and he has cracked the chin. I think he's cracked the chin of Marvin Vettori, I want to say. I want to say at some point in his career, he knocked out Marvin Vettori. Or it was... Who the fuck was it? Somebody chinned Marvin Vettori. That was really weird. But I can't remember who. Or maybe it was the other way around. No, I think it was Jack Hermansson who chinned Marvin Vettori. Way back when. If I'm getting that wrong, it is what it is. But even now, Jack Hermansson's not dangerous. You know, I think we can all admit that. He is like this point fighter. He is tough as shit. But I think this might look a lot more like Brad Tavares than a Jared Cannonier. This is a 3-rounder. If this was a 5-rounder, Jack Hermansson probably would be my pick. And I'd be fairly confident because Gregory would probably fade after round 2. But because it's a 3-rounder, I'm leaning Gregory Rodriguez here. And I reckon he gets it by brutal, like, 10-8 every round decision. Just beating the living shit out of Jack Hermansson. Because Jack Hermansson can be a punching bag. Especially when you got a guy like Strickland or someone who doesn't provide a lot of danger. I think Gregory's going to knock down Jack Hermansson, and this might be a moment where we can meme on Joe Pyfer a little bit more and be like, huh, how shit is Joe Pyfer not be able to finish Jack Hermansson, you know, after Gregory Rodriguez is beating the shit out of Jack. So, I don't mind Jack winning this. I think he could win this via decision. Gregory Rodriguez is also a little bit chinny. Like, he's not up there in terms of, like, Marvin Vettori chins, you know? I'd probably rank him in the same sort of echelon as, like, a Roman Dolidze, a Mavov type of chin. It's not really iron, but it's not really that tested. You know, he did just break against Jared Cannonier, but that was in the 4th round, you know? That was on point Jared. Might have been late 3rd, but I'm pretty sure it was the 4th round. I could be wrong on that. But regardless... Yeah, I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez. I think this is going to be vintage, beat the living shit out of you while you're against the cage. Gregory Rodriguez, you know? Jack might try to get a pace going, but Gregory's going to provide way too much danger. Jack's going to get wobbled. He's probably going to get dropped here and there. But I think he survives to the end of the decision, and we might see Fighter of the Night here. This might have Fighter of the Night written all over it. You know, Gregory's not one of these boring Nurmagomedovs that will just trip you, lay on you. You know, and Jack's the same way. He's not going to do that. He's going to stand with you. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Moving on, Viviane Araújo versus Tracy Cortez. So if you don't know, I do this very interesting method of picking my women's fights, right? So some people used to pick Dr. Like We Want Pick, shout out to their YouTube channel. That's kind of what, you know, got me into the UFC in the first place. Some people use logic and reasoning, like Bedtime MMA, like MMA Guru. I use the tried and true method of a fucking coin. Alright? So heads is the woman on the left, tails is the woman on the right. Let's see what we get. Heads. What did I say? Heads is the woman on the left. Okay. Fuck, I already forgot. Alright, heads is the woman on the right, tails is the woman on the left. Fuck. Alright. I think that's left. Viviane Araújo. Oh. But Tracy Cortez is bad, though. Shuddy bad. I guess we're going Araújo 29-28 decision. It is what it is. Sorry, Tracy. What are the... Shit. Who's her win? Karina Silva? That's basically a man that she beat, you know? Yeah. I mean... you know, Tracy Cortez lost to Rose. Rose sucks, guys. Am I right? Yeah, I just don't give a fuck. Who are people picking here? Rodriguez by KO. That makes sense. Terrence McChinney. Really? That's crazy disrespect. Borshev. Knock this fucking Terrence McChinney out. Anyways, moving on. We have Peyton Talbot versus Felipe de Lima. This is the guy who's flawless, right? He's one loss. I don't remember him getting a loss. But Felipe Lima, eh? Miles John's performance was very impressive. Muhammad Naimov, eh? Submitted his ass. Oh, yeah, I remember this guy. This guy is like the... I think I might have picked Miles Johns against him just because I like Miles Johns, but I'm out of that era. Peyton Talbot got fucked up in that Harney Barcelos fight. He did. He got fraud checked to the moon and back. Harney Barcelos has proven like he's pretty decent now. You know, he might be literally the modern day Edson Barbosa for bantamweight. But Peyton Talbot is dangerous, man. He did beat the shit out of Cameron Simon. I know it's Guru's boy and Cameron Simon, he only beat cans and then he became the can, but it's still kind of impressive. Although Malcolm Wellmaker did make it look easier. And Peyton Talbot just looked like shit in his last fight, man. Well, what are the heights? 5'6", 5'10"? Okay. Similar reach. Okay. I don't mind that. This is a tough one. This is a barn burner, guys. I just can't trust Peyton Talbot, man. After that last fraud checking, I question, like, if Peyton Talbot fluked all of his wins or if he's, like, the real deal. Because other than that Cameron Simon one that he got, yeah, here. But was that his debut? No, his debut was Nick, that guy. Yeah, that Giannis Gamori looked rigged. It literally, like, Peyton Talbot 1-2 down the pipe, and then Gamori just... I think it was just a 2 down the pipe, and Gamori just went down to the ground and covered up and was so terrified. Maybe that speaks to his power. I'm gonna go with Felipe Lima here, I think. I reckon by sub. You know? Miles Johns, if I remember this Miles Johns fight had a lot of grappling. And I want to say Felipe Lima very clearly won this fight, like 30-27. Might have been a 29-28. But I remember, if I remember correctly, he was taking down Miles Johns very easily. Miles Johns is, like, not that bad of takedown defense, in my personal opinion. I rate Miles Johns a little bit higher than anyone Peyton Talbot's fucking beat and lost to. You know, that Naimov win is also sick. Naimov's not the greatest, and he does get away with cheating in 99% of his fights. But Naimov just showcased recently that he's still pretty good. So, I don't know. This Felipe Lima guy, I think, is more of a real deal than Peyton Talbot. I reckon sub. I'm going to say late round 3. Early round 3 to late round 3. We're going to see, like, we're going to see one of those... Felipe's clearly up in 2 rounds, but some people are going to be coping saying... Actually, no. Yeah, we're going to say... It's going to be very close, but Lima's going to be up by, like, just a pinch, you know? Just by, like, maybe 5 jabs each round. You know, maybe that one takedown he secured in the last minute matters, you know? I just think Lima is going to have this, like, now I shoot the takedown sort of thing. Where Peyton Talbot seems like he's just kind of going with the flow with his fights. Lima looks like he's got a plan, you know? It looks like he watches tape before he fights someone. And he's like, oh, this is where he's weak. This is where he's good. I'm going to fight him here. You know? This is where I'm going to entry from. This is where I'm going to strike from. I'm going to bop, get out, you know? So I think Felipe Lima's going to get this one. Can Peyton Talbot do it? Maybe he's getting slept on because he just got fraud checked pretty hard, but I'm not relying on someone who just got fraud checked by Harney fucking Barcelos, who's a young prospect, alright? Seems like a lot of people are on that side. Decision is fair enough, but I can see Peyton Talbot just fucking quitting, to be honest with you, after that last performance. Moving on, Brandon Royval. Joshua Van, baby. Hey, the next champion at flyweight, Joshua Van, takes on Brandon Royval. But, unfortunately, listen, I love Joshua Van, our little nugget, our little Peter Yan at flyweight, you know? Our little Peter Yan. Yeah, Joshua Van, sick performance he had against Bruno Silva, which is a top-ranked opponent, and he literally made him quit, you know? Made him quit, no foul needed, like Manel Cat did. Just saying. Joshua Van is literally a flyweight Peter Yan. He's sick boxing. Looks like he gets a little gassed in moments, to be fair. But overall, Joshua Van's pretty fucking good. You know, his striking is really good. He's got a nice tight guard when he needs it. He's open on the feet when he's trying to bait out strikes. His takedown defense is really good. Bruno Silva did kind of get success, but I don't think Joshua Van was expecting blast double legs out of nowhere after rocking Bruno Silva. So I think that was more like unexpected rather than Joshua Van being prepared. His fight against Ray Topuria, he beat the living shit out of and stuffed every takedown. Now, I'm not concerned about takedowns in this fight against the raw dog, Brandon Royval. I'm also a fan of Brandon Royval's style, and I'm just going to keep it a buck. This was the one fight I didn't want Joshua Van to take, man. Our little king shouldn't have taken this fight. I get it, he's probably going to get paid like 6 figures now. Easily. If Khalil's getting fucking the amount that Khalil Rountree getting, I guarantee Khalil's at, what, like a 250 sort of deal right now? Show, and then he wins, he gets like $500,000. Maybe that's too much. Maybe it is like a 200 deal. Joshua Van should be getting paid like either the same level as Khalil or more than Khalil, in my personal opinion. Especially for taking this fight short notice, 1 month out. The problem here is that with Brandon Royval, you really need a game plan. If this was Brandon Moreno, I'd be all over Joshua Van, because Moreno needs takedowns when he's losing the striking exchanges, and he's not going to win the striking exchanges with Joshua Van. But Royval has a really good chin, and Royval has an insane pace. Like, the pace he pushes on people is crazy. The only time you can sort of outdog Royval is if you're very dangerous on the ground. When Brandon Moreno beat Royval, that's how he did it. He armbar submission him. Really weird armbar situation where Royval was going through it, I guess, and fucking freaking out that his arm snapped. It was weird. If you ever see that finish, Brandon Royval Moreno won, I want to say, where his arm snapped and he just freaked out. It was weird. But yeah, that was a weird fight. And Pantoja, you know, even though I think it was a decision, right? I'm not tripping. It was yeah, it was that. Yeah, he lost to Pantoja. Yeah, it was a unanimous decision. It was like 4-1 decision clear. You have to like Nurmagomedov or be dangerous on the ground with Brandon Royval, you know? And as we've seen, Brandon Royval is even being better with people who are dangerous on the ground. You know, Tatsuro Taira arguably is one of the slickest jiu-jitsu in a way in flyweight. I would say Royval has like the best scrambles of all time, but Tatsuro Taira might have like the slickest sort of get your back, hold the back. Like he's like Aljamain, but at flyweight. It's really interesting to watch. And Royval proved that like you gotta like he's okay. I don't like the fact that he gives his back and shit, but all that grappling stuff I'm saying is like that's his weakness. He doesn't have a weakness on the feet, man. Like, yeah, you can chin him because his hands are low, all right? And Joshua Van is showcasing that he's gaining power as he's getting older. You know, we're not even in prime Joshua Van. This kid's only 23. You know, people forget, man. And Brandon Royval has gone through a lot of wars, a lot of battles. So maybe we're looking at a chinning from Brandon Royval. And the fact that it's a 3-rounder favors Joshua Van way more than a 5-rounder. So he might be able to sneak through those rounds, man. And if Royval is in 5-rounder mindset, because you gotta imagine, 5-rounder Tatsuro Taira, 5-rounder Brandon Moreno, 5-rounder Pantoja, and now he's being thrown short notice into a 3-rounder against a striker. I'm just saying, like, it is... Hey, Joshua Van fans, I'm with you, alright? It's very possible Joshua Van can get this done. I just think Brandon Royval is the one matchup in the top levels that gives Joshua Van the most problems. Like, this is just a style mismatch, you know? And I think Brandon Royval is going to win this via 29-28 decision. And Joshua Van is going to look like the just slightly worse Brandon Royval is how I'm going to put it, you know? I think Royval's going to get hit cleanly more, but he's going to land more, and that's going to favor the judges' scorecards because they're going to be looking at numbers and being like, well, Royval landed 100 strikes in this round, you know, opposed to Joshua Van's 80. But, you know, the 80 were clean on the face where, you know, Brandon Royval's, you know, he's landing on the guard because he's able to predict where Joshua Van's going. Joshua Van's slick and he's fast, and I respect it. But Royval's got one of the best, like, I guess, volume strikers. He's one of the best volume strikers in the UFC. And that's what Joshua Van is. But I just think he's too young and inexperienced to, like, be in there with a vet of his style. This is almost like Lil Bro looking up to Big Bro. You know what I mean? Like, this is the one... This is like, fuck, man. If this was Moreno, I'd be touting Joshua Van. You know? If this was Manel Cap, even. I'll be honest, man. I'd pick Joshua Van against Manel Cap. Manel Cap been looking shit in his last fights. You know? He went into his flow states a few times, but he's needed to cheat in his last 2 fights. Cheat to get the finish in his last 2 fights. You know? If this was Kai Kara France, even Joshua Van might win this, you know? I would have loved to see, like, a Steve Ursag, you know, Matt Chanel, you know, a free ranking win just to build his name even better and get that paycheck. They've got to be giving this guy, like, $250,000, in my opinion, to take this fight for Joshua Van. It's just gonna... This is smart investing, but this is bad for, like, legacy, I'd say, in a way. So, I'm going with Brandon Royval. I'm going to go with Brandon Royval by decision. Listen... Joshua Van could get it done 29-28. I just think, like, this is where Royval is going to shine, you know? Another young guy, another guy he needs to prove that he's just slightly better than in, you know? He's going to invite him out to his gym afterwards because of how impressed he was in the performance. But, yeah, man. It's a tough matchmaking, but he can get it done. I'm excited. I'm going to be... fucking edge of my seat until this fucking fight happens. Moving on, Beneil Dariush, Hanato, the next lightweight, Gelt Moicano, although Ilya's now here, so, sorry, Hanato, I can't keep doubting that, you know? Ilya, he is him, alright? And we'll get to why, but, Beneil Dariush versus Hanato Moicano, this is rebooked after that 24-hour short notice, fight that Hanato took to save that UFC event because Arman Tsarukyan had a, diaper change because he shit his pants so much, realizing that he had to fight Islam Makhachev the next day. So, Hanato, the GOAT, Moicano, who is now also, I think, just had a younger brother. And by just had, I mean, like, his younger brother's not even a year old. I'm pretty sure that's lore, alright? Yeah, I'm going to go Moicano. I think he's going to get it done dominantly on the ground. I reckon a decision. You know? I reckon a decision. Beneil is chinny, but his grappling is good. He is really good against these, like, grapple-heavy dudes. Hanato does have, like, a really high-level grappling. You know? He's up there with, like, talks of best MMA grappling. Or, like, the example for MMA grappling, I'd say. Like, Paddy Pimblett versus Hanato would be interesting. But I just think Beneil's, like... he's just not locked in. You know what I mean? Like, he's going through his... I don't want to say Smith arc, because it's just a bad example. But he's going through, like, this veteran arc where it's like, you know, I don't really know if I have it anymore. If I still have it, you know, we'll find out in the next fight. I don't like that. And I got a lot of respect for Beneil because he's got one of the longest streaks for most tests or something, most days without testing positive. Some shit like that on the UFC roster. And he has sick highlights, like against Drakkar Klose. But Beneil isn't that great on the feet, which we learned from the Oliveira fight. And Beneil isn't dangerous on the ground. Could he overhand right Moicano because Moicano leaves his chin very open in every single fight? Yeah. I just think Moicano... Like, Beneil's going to have to box. And then if he's boxing and he's not having success, he's going to get bored of it. And he's going to try to, maybe not shoot a takedown, but I think he might go for kicks. Hanato grabs a kick. Hanato quickly gets to the cage, gets a trip up. You know, Hanato is very slick on the ground. He's really good at, like, getting to mount and getting trips and, you know, stuff like that. I don't think he's going to get to the back. I think he will get to full mount a lot of times. He'll probably get the back in some points, but I'm saying, like, he'll probably trip to get to full mount. He'll get to full mount. And, you know, ride it out from there. Shoot for a submission, shoot for Americana. Play it a little safe now that he's in the loss column, just to get him back in the win column. But, yeah, I reckon a 30-27 Hanato Moicano just being slightly ahead. Or, sorry, dominantly grappling Beneil Dariush. Beneil's really good at anti-grappling. And if Hanato goes in thinking, I'm just going to blast double leg him, Hanato's going to get fucked up. But If Hanato's like, okay, clinch, get to the cage, now we work here, you know, make him think I'm doing this. All right, single leg, drop him out, trip him out, you know. Get a lot of trips in there, because a lot of these wrestlers, they're not expecting trips, I think is what we're learning with the Bo Nickels. So I do think Hanato Moicano gets it done. I do think he wins dominant decision. He could get a finish, to be fair, but I just think Hanato's better. His striking isn't bad. Like, if we're looking at these guys striking, I'd say Benil's got more power, Hanato's got better technique, and I'd rate them, like, evenly stalemate on the feet, you know? Both of them don't have great chins. Benil's got, like, a paper chin as well. You know, he's only... Oh, okay, he's getting up there now. 36. You know, he's getting up there now. People forget, man. He was gonna be having a title shot. He was supposed to have a title shot after that Charles Oliveira fight. Yikes. People were saying he's the style to beat Islam. People forget, man, Islam was calling for Beneil to get the title shot after the Volkanovski fight. But, yeah, I just think Hanato's slightly better. Moving on, Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. I'll keep this one short and sweet. Kai Kara-France has a puncher's chance. He learns very fast in a fight. He did do well against Amir Albazi, but he learns very fast in a fight. Like, okay, that's bad, let me do this. Okay, he's doing that, okay, I'm gonna do this. You know, he's very good at learning middle of the fight, which I respect, and he does have a puncher's chance. I don't think he's better anywhere than Pantoja. He's not better on the ground, his takedowns aren't better, his ability to get back up isn't better, his scrambling isn't better, he gets his back taken a lot, but he's slightly more dangerous. Could Pantoja's chin get cracked? Maybe, and this might be one of those like underrated flyweight wars that we see that Pantoja normally has, because Pantoja goes, you know, a lot of a very high-paced fight, I'd say, with Pantoja. But Pantoja has also proven he's got no problem being Nurmagomedov, Alexander Nurmagomedov Pantoja. So yeah, I'm gonna go Pantoja. I reckon sub. I reckon at some point Kai Kara-France gives his back. And we see moments where it's like a face crank attempt, then Pantoja tries to do something else, like maybe, you know, threaten the guard or something, and then quickly latch up a rear naked choke at some point. So I reckon a sub. I reckon maybe round 4, round 5, late rounds. Kai Kara-France gasses a little too much. He's, you know, his brain's overprocessed because he's not fighting Steve Erceg, who doesn't go into fights with game plans for some fucking reason. Yeah, I reckon Pantoja gets it done. This guy works hard. I have no doubt in my mind he's got, like, some sort of big game plan against Kai Kara-France. Moving on to the main event. Charles do Bronx Oliveira versus Ilya El Leyenda Topuria. It still says Matador here. I swear he changed it to Leyenda. I don't know what the fuck Topology's doing. We're slacking here, brother. Alright, but Ilya Topuria takes on Charles do Bronx. I feel like the NPC answer is Ilya Topuria KO. I feel like I don't need to say who Ilya Topuria is here, or Charles do Bronx, but if you're out of the loop, Ilya Topuria is quickly becoming one of the biggest stars in the sport, especially because John Jones, fat fuck, just retired, so it leaves open for another shooting star. Ilya might be him. And I mean that in the literal sense. He's knocked out Volkanovski with the right. He's knocked out Holloway with the left. People are wondering, what is he going to do to Oliveira? I mean this with the utmost respect to Oliveira. Round 2 submission. Listen! He KO'd Volkanovski, alright? Islam's done the same. He's KO'd Max Holloway. Islam could never, okay? Not in a million years is Islam KOing Max Holloway. That's just not happening. Charles do Bronx Oliveira gets KO'd. Everyone knows that. He gets dropped, he gets finished. That's what happens, you know? He lost to Arman Tsarukyan. That was kind of close. He got knocked down and then subbed by Islam Makhachev. And I know it's like, oh, but he hasn't been finished by KO in such a long time. That doesn't matter because every fight he looks fucking chinny. Alright? Against an old Chandler, taking him to a 5-round decision where he's threatening nothing on the ground. Like, he's not threatening a sub. He's just laying there on the back, like, smiling. Like, brother, do something. You know, make it entertaining. So this might be a Charles Nurmagomedov Oliveira era, but I think the only way Ilya one-ups Islam is by submitting Charles, because then he has like the added Max Holloway KO onto his resume. Because if he submits Oliveira and he KOs the rest of the roster, like if he KOs Poirier, or I guess Poirier's not gonna fight. If he KOs Justin Gaethje, you know, flatlines him. If he KOs Paddy Pimblett, you know, like that puts him, in my opinion, above fucking Islam. Sorry, my brain is slowly melting as I've been recording a lot of videos. But Ilia Topuria vacated his belt, moved up. By the way, I don't believe this bullshit. He can't make featherweight. You're not a big dude. I don't give a fuck what your muscle density is. All right? He's not a big dude. He can't make featherweight. He made an excuse so he can make it to lightweight. He's more filled in at lightweight, to be fair. Like, he's going to look more, like, dense and built. But he's not... I don't believe this bullshit that he can't make featherweight. I think that's just, like, a myth that all people move up just say. Like, oh, yeah, I'm never going back down to that division. Goes back down to that division shortly after. So, Ilia Topuria, I think, is going to knock down... Like, round one, I think we're going to see... safe Oliveira, you know? We're going to see an Oliveira sort of wait to see what Ilya's doing. And we're going to see a normal Ilya high-level fight where he's getting pieced up a little bit. I don't think Oliveira's got better striking than Ilia Topuria, but Ilya struggles. This is how you beat Ilya, and it is the Diego Lopez style. You have to go band for band with this guy, you know? You got to go in there, and you got to, like, blitz in, bop, 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 like Fiziev, you know? You gotta go in, bop, 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 and then get out. And, like, wait for your moment to strike, you know? Wait for a whiff, go in, type shit. You can't beat Ilya by just peppering him, because he will find that chin. However, if this was an iron-chinned, tall... But that was Holloway. This is the problem, man. Ilya does let rounds get away, but he lets them get away on purpose. Could Oliveira survive to a 5-round decision and become champion? It's possible. I'll throw it out there. It's possible. Especially with the way the fucking cards have been going. Jamal Hill, Khalil Roundtree being a dogshit fight. Fucking Buckley versus Usman being an absolute snooze fest. And then what was the card before that? Merab, Sean O'Malley? Oh, fucking fun. You know? Jesus Christ. What was the one before that? Gamrot Klein? Like, come on, man. Like, these fight cards have been so shit. So the way it's been trending, it's going to be Oliveira, Nurmagomedoving for 5 rounds. Boring. Nobody fucking cares, right? And the most dangerous submission artist now becomes the most boring fucking lightweight champion, right? But I think spot armor-wise, okay, Ilia Topuria is up there. Charles Oliveira, he's good. He's got good striking. He's good at tall guy striking, which is... be out of the danger zone, pepper, 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 and then when you see a big moment, go in, you know? But recently, against Arman Tsarukyan, against Michael Chandler, and even against, like, maybe not not really the Beneil Dariush one, but definitely the Islam one. The Islam one, he was just doing stupid shit, got caught. He was doing stupid shit in the Tsarukyan one. He didn't get caught because of it, but he still was doing stupid shit. Oliveira's... Yeah, fuck, man. I gotta stop going on these tangents. But Oliveira, he is good on the feet. But it's just... he's becoming more of a punching bag as fights go on. You know? He's more hittable. He's not able to move the way he's normally able to move. He's only 34? 35, you know? He's not able to move the way, like... most of these guys move. Ilya moves fast. Like, very fast. You know? I don't think Oliveira's going to be able to see that punch coming. Especially because Olives is going to have his hand out. Actually, a lot of the times nowadays, he doesn't even do that. He's backing up on his bike. You know, doing that fucking shimmy that a lot of fighters do. But people are able to cut him off. Chandler's able to cut him off. Wobble him. Piece him up. Chandler's a fucking midget for lightweight, you know? I don't like this for Oliveira. I really don't like this for Oliveira at all. Like, this, I think, is going to look like a even higher level Fiziev Ignacio Bahamondes, where Oliveira is going to do a wild shit here and there, You know, there's going to be moments where Oliveira lands as Ilya's coming in, and you're going to be like, oh, you know, oh, there goes Ilya's nose. His nose is a little busted up. But overall, I mean, Ilya is just going to get a knock. Like, it is going to happen. Ilya's going to knock down Oliveira. It's whether or not does it flatline Oliveira or not. Because of his resume, obviously, on paper it should. I do think Oliveira might survive. If he does survives, I see Ilya going for the sub. And I think he's playing up this KO so that when he gets the submission, it's going to be like an even bigger, holy shit, he just submitted Charles Dubon to Oliveira. It's not really that crazy because people have done it in the past. But it is like, that's great for legacy. And if we're looking at legacy here, tell me, KOing Volkanovski, who's the current featherweight champion of the world, inarguably the best featherweight champion of all time, then KOing Max Holloway, and Max Holloway's first time ever getting, I think, a credited knockdown and getting not flatline, but he KO'd Max. Then he submits Charles Oliveira. Then he beats, like, you know, whoever the fuck, a bomb, KOs his ass in round 2. And then he moves up and smokes Islam. Like, is that not just the best resume of all time in the UFC? Would that not be the craziest resume you've ever fucking heard of? KO over Max Holloway? I don't give a fuck about the John Jones glaze. No one has ever done something like that to a person like Max Holloway. Someone who's never been cracked. Someone who's always looked good. Someone in their prime and they're chinned and outskilled on the feet. That's never happened. Okay, it might have happened maybe if you go through the fucking dialogue, but I'm talking like high-level skilled, new era type shit, you know? Max Holloway pieces up any featherweight other than Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria. You know, I think that's what we learned. But maybe that's Topuria in this trilogy. But that has been my picks and predictions. I do think Topuria wins. I'm more or less wagering a submission purely because of legacy and how badly Ilia wants to retire at 30. If he gets this on his resume with like a crazy sub win on Oliveira, I mean, that's just even more legacy. That's just even more aura. So I'm completely on Topuria here. I don't mind Oliveira winning, of course, and the way I see him winning is not by a finish, is just by being a Nurmagomedov, and literally, he is big, to be fair. He could just lay on Ilia if Ilia gets... I'm not saying Ilia's grappling's bad, but he could lay on Ilia purely because size advantage, and because both of them are high-level grapplers. So, I'm on Ilia Topuria, I'm on sub round 2, maybe even round 1, to be fair. But I think it's an early finish. Ilia favored. Yeah. That's been my picks and predictions for UFC 317. I hope it's a banger. These cards have been dog shit, and all of them on paper have been looking good. This one on paper looks pretty alright. It looks alright, but we'll see if it's smelly horse shit or if it's good. So if you liked this video and you made it all the way to the end of the video, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have, hold up, a good day.